Good morning, everyone. Happy Supercharged Manifesting Monday. Welcome to the start of another week. Hang on, let me get this microphone closer to both of us. All right, I'm going to wait for you all to join, jump in, say your good mornings, give love, all the wonderful things that we do. As you can all see when you get in here, my amazing, the one and only Miss Natasha Chen is here with us this morning. Oh, they're giving us hearts. All right, so I'm going to wait for you all to join us. We're talking about life lessons. And one of the things that I said in my email this morning is that there's a lot we can learn from our children if we're willing to be humble. So this morning, oh, Margarita, you're the first one on. So this morning we're technically going to be sitting at the feet of my child. As you all are coming in, welcome, Miss Diane. She's like, good morning, Natasha. Congrats. So excited to see you. That's right. Welcome to, this is like a little extension of the Money family, right? Like my literal family this morning. Oh, Carla. Morning, Natasha. All right. So I don't want to take up any of Natasha's time to share with you. I just want to give a quick introduction as to how we got here. And she also gave permission for questions because she doesn't think she can talk for 30 minutes. So if there are any questions that you think you would want to ask her, get ready to type them when that moment comes. I wanted to say that we are here because last week Natasha came home, and in preparation for graduation we were just doing mother and daughter things, driving around, catching up, and she just started sharing some lessons that she was learning at that point in her journey, and I was honestly so impressed. I not only had like a mommy moment, I also had like a woman to woman moment because she is a woman now. And so it was like, wow, I'm kind of talking to my best friend here. And it was just really interesting. And immediately I was like, you know what, Natasha, I think you should come on Facebook Live with me and share some of these insights, because I truly believe that, yes, we are probably all older than Natasha, but to hear the wisdom that she was sharing with me, and even for me to hear it myself, was one, a reminder, two, some like serious, wow, that's perspective from the younger generation. And I just know that from this conversation, you're either going to be inspired, you're going to have aha, something's going to happen for somebody this morning. But, so we're driving and we're talking, and I said to her, at the end of the conversation, I said to myself, actually, I think I'm just now understanding what it means to be a mother. Because when Natasha was a baby, I felt like being a mom meant I told her what to do. And it was like it was my way or the highway. Not true, right, Nat? So anyway, it was my way or the highway. And in that conversation with her, I realized that truthfully, the best that we can hope for in raising our children is that we guide them on their journey. And I've had to understand that this is really Natasha's life journey. And my job is to guide her, is to give her some kind of like, I would do this instead of that. But really, it is her life and it is her journey. And that moment in the car for me was I've been telling everyone, Natasha's not the only one graduating here. I'm graduating too. Like, I passed the test. I passed the motherhood test with this one, But I was just sitting there and going, this is really a moment of celebration for me as a mom that I want to share with you, because in that moment I realized she's got it. She will be fine. She's figured it out and she is well on her way. And so I'm going to invite her to share some of the things that we talked about in the car last week and answer some of your questions. So I know that there's lots of you here now. So go ahead and just start thinking about, what would you want to ask my daughter? All right. So Natasha, go ahead, share what you will.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Thank you, for being here with us this morning. And I'm just so happy that, this law school experience can be helpful to others. Okay, we're all getting our benefit from this trial. So I love that. But yeah, I was just talking to my mom, and just at the end of 3 years, just how I realized like I'm a completely different person than I was when I entered law school. And a lot of the things that I thought was making me successful were just not sustainable. And, you know, in undergrad, you know, you can kind of have those little toxic stay up all night and burn yourself out, and then you're good because you don't have another exam for another semester. But in law school, no, like you gotta figure something out quick. So one of the main things I learned that I was forced to adapt was how I responded to situations. And my mother knows that I did not used to respond to stress well, even though I had opted to put myself in maybe some situations that would elicit a lot of stress, like deciding to take the LSAT while I was still in school, or deciding I wanted to graduate in 2 years meant I had to do a lot of extra stuff that just made college less relaxing. And I would cope with that by anytime I was inconvenienced, Mom, why did my credits not go through? Why is this professor giving me a B minus instead of an A? Coming home, and this lady saw me every single weekend, my first year of college. Like, it was bad. I just could not handle stress. And that's cute when you're 18, but you know, I'm about to have clients. My client can't come to me, Natasha, I got this problem. I'm stressed. Girl, I'm stressed too. How are we gonna do this? So,
and definitely not at the rate that they're gonna be paying you.
Right.
You're like, I'm stressed too. So what are we gonna
do? This is crazy. How are you gonna figure this out? So yeah, so I had to get myself together. And I feel like this really the exact moment I think I realized that like this was not sustainable is like and you actually had connected me to your friend who had helped me with like my writing, because you know, as a lawyer, like whenever our main job is writing, and it takes me a long time to write things, and that's fine when you're doing academic stuff, but not when you're getting paid by the minute to turn something around and get it back to your partner. And so that was just a lot of stress for me, and I was telling myself like, oh, I'm smart, but I can't write fast, and now everyone's going to see like this thing I've been hiding from everybody. And I just,
oh my gosh, Natasha, there's so much. I need a notepad. Oh my gosh. Keep going.
But yeah, I had just this huge fear my first summer that I was working, that like, oh, I was also there on a diversity fellowship. So that was like another thing in my head, like everyone is here because they're smart and I'm here for diversity, and I can't write fast and everyone's going to find out my secret. And I would have panic attacks and I would get so worked up that like I was never productive because I would like cry for an hour, then have something else to do. And it was just a mess. And so my second summer, I like had the insight of like, well, that was so unhelpful. And I survived. Thought I was being so miserable and bad at my job. And yet they still asked me back. So I can't be that bad. And at the end of the day, like the work is the work. You have to turn in your assignment. Why sit there and cry about it for an hour? That's not going to get the research done. That's not going to get the brief drafted. Just sit down and do it. And if it's a terrible mess, why did they ask a summer associate to do it instead of a real attorney? You know? So I think the summary of the point I'm trying to make is like stressful things are going to happen. You're going to have pressure. You're going to have deadlines. And those are things you can't control. But the only thing you can control is how you respond. That's it. That's all you have. And that has just made my life so much easier. And that was one of the things we were reflecting on. I was telling my mom that it was like I had to laugh because I was in DC and like literally in one day, like 10 different things happened that would have broke. Like Natasha from 3 years ago. Natasha from 3 years ago would have been on a plane coming back. Like, this is too much. Like, I was in DC and it was like the week before I was supposed to graduate. And I thought I had to do 450 credit hours this semester. And I thought I was done. I was like, yes, finally, like all I have left is cross the stage. And it's 10 o'clock at night on a like Thursday night. And I get an email from my school, Natasha, you still have 40 hours that you have left to turn into us. Mind you, there's only like 2 days before graduation. There's not even 40 hours before graduation. And like, I just looked at it and I went, okay, that's so interesting. Like, didn't even begin to stress. Because in my mind, I was like, nothing is getting in between me and crossing this stage. So why would I get upset? Like, this is going to be resolved. I don't know how. And then, you know, I was able to work it out. But that was just such a different response than how I would have responded 3 years ago.
Okay, so very proud mommy moment, because there are many calls. When I tell you I graduated too, there are many calls. So what, we had undergrad for 3 years, for 2 years, undergrad for 2 years. That's right. Don't take your credits away. Did I mention 22 years old, graduating law school? I forgot to scream that out in my video. Those of you that watch my videos on Facebook and Instagram of the graduation, that's what I really wanted to scream. But yeah, Natasha for law school was 3 years, undergrad 2. So for 5 years of her college or university experience, would always call every little thing that happened, and I would try. My lesson to her was, not life is, it's not like and it's kind of like a why me, everything happens to only me, I'm the only one in the whole wide world that life is happening to, and I just have this cloud over my head. And my mother message to her was, Nat, life is happening to all of us. Like, I have stuff. Everybody you think has it all together, they have stuff going on. And what I've learned is, it's a lesson that life's trying to teach you. And the faster you start to respond instead of to react, it's like, I remember there was a paper you turned in, and you missed the deadline. It was like your first year of law school. I remember you coming in and sitting on the couch, and I had to stop my work.
I had to go touch some grass.
It was like a production.
It was the end of the world.
It was the end of the world. It was all over. And I remember you sitting here and me saying to you, Natasha, here is how life works. Like, this catastrophe you think has happened, but how you respond in this moment is going to set up what happens next, and then what happens next, and then what happens next. And so for most of university, every time life happened, she would be a wreck, and then it would just be a continuous mess, right? And so it was just beautiful in the car last week to hear her go, I get it. The only thing I can control in these situations is how I respond. I mean, every mother here wants their kid to get that lesson, right? So
I think it was that, and just how you say, well, not everything always is working out for me. Like, shut up. Like, it is not working right now. That is the last thing I want to hear. It is very much not working.
For those of you that have heard that everything is always working out for you, my daughter gets it too. And
read the room,
but she did not appreciate my everything's always working out for you.
What I let go of that resistance to that idea, because enough things had finally happened where it had worked out, where I could be like, she's not just saying this to say it. Like, I think that is what it took. I think enough things that I thought had to be a catastrophe worked out for me to finally be like, yeah, maybe it does work.
Maybe she's on to something.
And then, for I don't know about who's on the call, but I think for most of us can relate, we're not ER doctors. No one is going to die,
Hopefully there are no ER doctors.
Yeah, I don't know, ER doctors, maybe find another call to get some advice. But yeah, no, but just that, that everything's going to work out. So when those little and that was just a week or two ago where I had this date was just ridiculous. These people broke into my car, didn't know if I was going to be able to get home, didn't know what was going on with the insurance. It was just a mess. And
H&M decided to close.
H&M decided
when she needed 10 tops, and they decided they were closed for maintenance. It was a catastrophe.
How dare H&M inconvenience me this way? So I was annoyed, and but I was just all these little things would happen, literally every hour something else would happen. I'd be like, I'm gonna get home, I'm gonna find that shirt I want from H&M. I'm gonna figure out how to I'm either gonna rent a car or my car's gonna be done on time. I don't know. Oh, and the other thing that had happened, I was supposed to move out on Sunday. So I'm walking around, H&M is closed, and I get a call from my landlord. Hey, Natasha, have you moved out yet? And I'm like, no, I'm moving out on Sunday. He's like, no, you're supposed to move out today. And I'm like, well, Tosin, my stuff is still in there. We're going to figure this out. Oh, Natasha would have rushed home, started being all frantic, tried to pack up her stuff. And I'm like, I just didn't even, I'm like, I'm not going home till Sunday. We'll figure this out. Everything, just trusting that everything was going to work out, really just helps with that mastering the response.
All right. ladies of the more, I'm not going to say older, just, more wisdom. This is a really good reminder for all of us is really, life. I always say life is a game and it's just about mastering the game. And this is one crucial piece of advice is mastering the response when life happens. And the other thing that I will say is, we have these conversations to talk about manifesting. And when you are in that frantic, like woe is me energy, what happens is you attract more things that are in alignment with that. And then you just feel like life is against you, not realizing you're actually life. I think Carla posted something recently in the elites that says actually life is responding to you. You're getting more of the energy and the vibration that you're putting out. You're actually manifesting more of it, right? So by switching to this mastery of you controlling your response, you get in a higher vibration and therefore just continue to attract. This is why everything works out because you have that energy about it, right? All right. So number two.
So another thing I just, I think a lot of us experience imposter syndrome, just like, especially as women, like just trying to be in the workplace. And so in law school, like you walk in and I don't have any lawyers in my family. I have no idea what to expect. And I was going to law school in the South, in Gainesville. And so that was the vibe. And I walk in and the first thing is like professionalism, be professional, act like a man. That's what there's. Don't act like however you are, act like how a man would act, dress like a man, conduct yourself like a man. And I just felt a lot of pressure because I am not a man. And that was the standard I felt I had to hold myself up to. And then in class, like I feel like I would express myself and like I would answer questions in class and then people would literally repeat the question as if I had not spoke. Like it was extremely disheartening.
Wow.
Yeah. And I just felt like I struggled so much feeling like I just didn't belong or I had so much. It's like I couldn't make any mistakes because then it's like, oh, she's not supposed to be here. Even though it's like none of us are lawyers, none of us know we're all here to learn. But I just felt I was putting that pressure on myself. Like I have to blend in. I have to show I'm good enough to be here. I have to fit in with everybody else. And
I'm young.
Oh, and I'm like younger than everybody.
Yeah.
that part as well. And it was just, and I'd actually like psyched myself out so much that I didn't apply to. So when you're in your first year of law school, you don't work for like a law firm. You usually work in some type of government job. And the best type of government job for law students is to work for a judge. And I convinced myself I wasn't going to have the grades to work for a judge, even though I didn't see my grades. And so I just
pause. How many of you have convinced yourself you're not going to get a thing, right? It's not meant for you, even though like you haven't even seen the facts to make that statement. I see people do that so much with manifesting. It's so interesting. You don't even have the facts to prove that you can't have it, but you just decided you can't, right? So anyway, sorry.
No, but it was that. It was literally that. There's no reason for me to not apply. And I just told myself, nope, like you'll be lucky to keep your scholarship, which was like ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And anyway, so I ended up deciding to do the law firm route my first year of law school. And I was meeting with counselors and I was like, hey, I'm applying for this law firm. And I was like, I think I need to do practice interviews. And my career advisor, she was like, oh, this law firm, oh, honey, like you have to be like a son of a partner to get this. Like they're just posting it so they look good. Like you're not gonna get this.
A son of a partner.
Yeah, like this isn't, for people like you. Yeah. And I was like, okay, well, like they still asked to meet me, so I'm still gonna show up. And I did my practice interview with her, and she was like, like you're very bubbly and you laugh a lot. Like you need to tone it down and
be serious.
Yeah,
serious lawyer, man.
Be serious lawyer. And I was like, oh, okay. Like but more affirming, like don't be yourself. Don't let them see that you're young. And I like she like almost like something I'm supposed to hide. And I just decided no, like I think that speaks to who I am, that I'm this young and I'm in law school and I'm applying to this job. Like it shows you that like I've experienced adversity and I'm able to perform at a certain level. So I'm not going to hide it. And I put it on my resume and my personal letters and I got my interviews and, I was doing my interviews. I was meeting people and I finally had my job, and people who had interviewed came back to me and they're like, I want to be your mentor because you seem really sweet. you seem genuine, and you seem, there's not a lot of people like you who are in our workplace. And because I was myself, and because I was different than, the standard professional lawyer, I found my people.
Oh. There is a side story I must tell about this interview process, but keep going. I want you to finish your point.
Oh, that's the point. Be yourself. Find your people. And find your people. Yep.
And I think, when she was telling me the story, I said to her, I said, Nat, I really want you to share that, because one of the things that I think a lot of women my age and older tend to think is that we can't get paid to just be ourselves. Like, we have to put on a show. We have to do this whole production. Like, we want to manifest millions, and who we are and what we have to offer just isn't enough. And we have to be big. We have to go get another certificate, or we have to do all these things outside of ourselves. And it was just so beautiful to hear her say. I mean, and again, this is something I wish I would have had at 22 years old. Like, it's going to be okay to just be yourself. Like, you are going to find your people are going to find you. And I remember in that interview process, one of the things, again, this thing I said earlier about, your kids are really here for you to guide them on their life's journey. When Natasha was in undergrad, knowing she was going to want to apply to law school, she said, I have to do a summer job. I have to get a job, and I have to do something that I can put on my law school application, and also my job application in the future. And so she decided she wanted to go work at a nursery, basically. What would you call that school?
Oh my God, King's Prep.
Like King's Prep in Jamaica, like a little tiny little school with young kids. I mean, they were, maybe 4 or 5. And I was like, Natasha, this is ridiculous. This is not responsible. You need to get your grandmother to get you a job in a law firm in Jamaica. That's what's going to look good on your application. And she was like, no, I want to get this little job. And she dressed up professional every day. We all had to drive her down to the little school, pick her up after lunchtime. She's in there with all the kids. And you know what? When she was in that interview process, she wrote about that experience. And one of the partners said, I see that you did this as, your summer job. Why did you do that? And she was just honest. She's like, I have a heart for children in Jamaica who have extremely pressuring conditions academically, and I just wanted to be in there and give like a softer touch or something to that effect, right? And the guy responds, I totally understand. I went to school in Jamaica. And it was like, what? How? But I mean, I have just really learned my lesson as a mom, which is to sit back and go, you know what? Your intuition is guiding you. I mean, I've literally gotten to the point where I'm like, Natasha, trust your intuition, because you are figuring it out and just doing the things. How in the world that came to be? And this was like the second to last interview before she got the job, right? But again, ladies, I just want to say to you, as my little child here is speaking to all of us, is that's another lesson. Life is guiding you. Trust your intuition. Don't believe the shoulds, even when it's from your mom. Anyway, that was that. What else you got for us?
I think that goes into the next point, which the reason any of this has been possible has been through relationships. I think that has been my greatest contributor to anything I was able to accomplish, is that, and I had to learn this lesson the hard way in high school, which, yeah. So in high school, I was like trying to figure everything out by myself, and just wanted to be independent, and just making everything as hard for myself as possible, and not asking anybody any questions. And, I think I felt like I was setting myself up for a scholarship, like a full ride to college. I was like captain of a sports team, 100 volunteer hours, 3.9 GPA, and I did not get a full ride to the school that I wanted to go to. And I was watching people around me get scholarships who I know were not doing the things that I was doing, or they were, but I'm like, okay, I'm just qualified as you. Like, why are you getting it over me? And I would ask, and they'd be like, oh, I asked the guidance counselor, and she found this special program. Or, oh, you need to talk about being diverse to qualify for certain. I didn't talk about being diverse in my college applications. So I wasn't even in the pile for certain scholarships. And it was just things I didn't know what I didn't know. And I was like, well, this is the last time this is going to happen. Right. And it was just like, like I did all the things I was supposed to do and had just not had access to information. So when I was applying to law school, I hunted people down to help me. And it was because I met with this person at the admissions office or this professor who like maybe didn't have a legal background, but they knew how to write and help me with my personal statement. Or I had a friend that was a poet and she had helped me with my personal statement, or other law students. And because of that, like people who had been through it with personal experience, they could explain, yeah, the website is saying do this, but you really need to do this, or this is how you stand out. And that is 100% why I was able to successfully get into law school, because of the people I met. And I think that really benefited me, because I don't think I had these struggles that I see a lot of my mentees face, like, coming in. Like a lot of the people in my circle are also people who don't have lawyers in their family. They're women and are coming into law school and they're like, oh my God, like I need to figure everything out by myself and I need to make my outline from scratch and I can't work with anybody. And I'm like, law school is not about testing how smart you are by yourself. And even like for your client does not want you to sit there for 10 hours and figure this out by yourself to prove how smart you are. You need to figure out what is the most efficient way to get things done. That is what this is about. That is how you get an A on the exam. You know who's getting an A on the exam? People who sit down and just pre-write and they're just copy pasting in exams. That's who's getting A's. That's not the smartest person. Like that's really hard. People, I've never understood it, but I've seen it happen. Like I'll tell people this and they still want to do the hard way. And you still want to sit there and study for 10 hours. Like, okay.
Easy and relaxed. So as she's telling me this, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've seen myself do it. I know every single woman here can relate. Why do we choose the hard way? There is always an easier way. There always is. But we are so addicted to hard. We're so addicted. And one of the things we talked about was like, it's like we have to prove ourselves. We have to do it the hard way so we can be deserving of the success. Well, why? Why?
Because you better believe that, like, the person next to you is calling daddy, who's a judge. Hey, we got a legal writing exam. What should I write about? I mean, you're here spending 3 hours looking up topic. Like, it just does not have to be that way. So I feel like that, and just in general in law school, like every opportunity even like the job I have is because of my mentor, who even told me that working at law firms was a thing. I didn't even know that like law firms existed, basically, when I entered into law school. And it's because of her that I have the job that I have now. And just my professors and my friends, I feel like the most valuable thing that I'm taking is the relationships that I've built and the people I've met.
Yeah, leveraging relationships. Oh my gosh, are you paying attention to all of these?
Oh, I see the all caps. I see the emoji.
All right, so we're driving and she goes, we're having this whole conversation and she goes, Mom, I was just thinking the other day. Go ahead.
I was just reflecting my Gemini mind, just thinking all the thoughts. And I was like, how did me and my mom come to be so close? Because, having a Virgo mom, there could be some strictness. There could be some strictness. And my mom is like a very, reserved, conservative woman. And, y'all have met me for about 20 minutes. See, that's not exactly me. And I'm just like, yeah, Mom, I went to a party. A party? Oh my goodness. Yes, Mom, 20-year-olds go to parties, actually. And I'm just so my mom, I follow my mom on Instagram. Like I comment and I like all her stuff. I don't let her follow me. She asked me why, and I'm like, you can't take it. You can't handle it. But yeah, so it's like, even though I feel like I'm aware of this, like of the difference between my mom, I still tell her everything though. Like I can't go 2 minutes without calling my mom and tell her what's going on. She knows all the craziness. She like actively asked me to stop telling her stuff. That's so like, how did we get so close? Even though I know she's so Virgo. And I was like, you know why? It's because whenever I call my mom, I know she's going to be so just tickled by whatever it is I have to tell her. And I feel like she's going to just be genuinely interested. And because I know it's just going to be a safe space for me. And she's like sincerely going to care about whatever foolishness I'm calling her about. Like I had to. Like, who else is gonna give me this kind of love and attention? So yeah, that was just something I was reflecting on and shared with my mom during our life talk.
And I said, you know what, Natasha? That is so amazing that you feel that way because literally, I have made a living by just being me. Like, literally, what Natasha loves about me is what you all love about me. And I thought that was just such a good way to bring this whole conversation back to you can get paid to just literally just be your interested in other human self. Like, that is my job, right? As your mentor, as your guide, is to be interested in you and your dreams and not your foolishness like Natasha. Hopefully, you're not all going to crazy parties, but just whatever it is that you want to manifest and create. And if there's anything that I have learned on my life journey that I can share with you so you can have what you want, that's it. And I just think, I don't think life could be any better than this in this moment right now for me personally. All right. So we had said questions. Anything else you want to share? I get paid to just exist. That's right, Jackie. Anything else? All right. We're at 8:30. Any questions? See, I told you.
I know, I'm shocked.
I told you. She was like, oh my God, I'm going to talk for what, Mom?
My
10
mom
minutes?
was a Virgo. I get it. Yeah.
Oh, there's Marcella saying, Natasha, you're thanks for sharing. And
Go
Marcella,
Gators.
go Gators. All right. I don't think there are any questions. I don't think anyone's got any questions on here. Thanks for sharing this time with Natasha and I. It's been incredible to just watch this journey, and I share so much about her with you all during our conversations in our coaching. One of the things I was telling them the other day, I said, my daughter, if she could figure out how to make her millions with astrology, she would be like an astrological lawyer or something because she has a passion for civil rights. What else? Women's rights. What else you got a passion for? What else you got going on?
The
kids. Yeah. And so, I joke all the time because she came home and she goes, I got to really sort myself out before I go to this job because I see myself going to court and saying, listen, Your Honor, Mercury's in retrograde. Let's just cancel this case because it's going to be a waste of our time. and by the way, do you know that the defendant is a Sagittarius and his lawyer is a whatever sign doesn't combine with
little wild self? Like, yeah, lock him up. We are not safe with this man on the street.
So there you go. All right. So let's see what we got. What is your focus? Let's see if there are any questions. Love you, mean it. Taking all this beautiful advice and using it with my son and our beautiful relationship. Any advice for parents of young people going out to college? Any advice? And what kind of lawyer do you want to be?
So for the young people, parents going out to college, I think it was such a blessing that me and my mom have this relationship where I feel like, I can tell her what's going on in my life and she'll be supportive because that was such a rock for me. And so I just think being that kind of parent where your kid knows hey, I can make mistakes and I can do it, be out in college, but I know I can call my mom. Or I know if I call my mom, can you come get me right now? She's going to come. I don't have to hide stuff. I don't have to be yeah, I know I have friends who have had things happen, been in the hospital and didn't feel comfortable telling their parents. So I just feel be open and prioritize your kid being safe over being strict.
Yeah.
That'd be my advice.
I remember when Natasha went to undergrad and they had orientation, and part of the orientation was psychology or seeing a psychologist. So the parents had to go see part of the setup for the day. We had to go to, the counseling center or something. I'm like, why are they having us go? And they were like, we want to sit you down and let you know your kids are going to do this, 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 and this. Get ready for the phone calls. And I wanted to run for the hills. And it was like, not my daughter. No. Right. But it really was true. College, I think that was a wake up call for me. College is about figuring out life, and it's not a straight line. It is not a straight line. And I had to, one of the things that I think I would say to the person that asked that question is, I always ask myself in those moments when you get those phone calls, right? How would I have wished my mom would have responded? That's always like my litmus test. And shout out to Diane, who gave me that advice when Natasha was in middle school. How would I wish my mom would have responded? And so that's kind of the way that I use that. And I think also too, one of the things is it's different between, so I have a daughter and a son. With Natasha, she was very on top of things, so I could trust her. I let her be. She figured the entire thing out all by herself. I didn't get my education here in the US, so I didn't know how the system works, so to speak. And so she figured it out. Now I've got my son, who I'm like, totally different child, right? And so I think as a parent, you kind of have to be aware of some of those things too. All right, what kind of lawyer do you want to be? What is your focus? And some Geminis in here.
Gemini season with a Gemini mom. Oh, that sounds fun.
Gemini here with a Gemini mom. Ooh, yeah. All right, what else? So what kind of lawyer do you want to be? You want to start answering that?
So I am going to go join a corporate law firm. So I will be doing business litigation, and but also like it's very important to me to do pro bono. So like even as a summer, I was able to help a victim of police brutality. That's the kind of thing that's important to me, and that's like I intend to continue doing that kind of work.
Okay. All right. Question. What can I share with 3 girls this weekend under 11 to set them up for their future selves?
Under 11.
This is what you want to do. This is your dream.
I feel like we're just like kids. As under 11, I feel like it's still a kid. They just want to feel loved, and they just want to know that like you believe in them more than anything else. And so I feel like with kids, it's really just sitting there and just like asking them like, what are you interested in? Like, what do you want to do? And just like telling them like you really believe that they can do it. And I feel like what do you have to say having embraced some 11-year-old girl?
No, I think you're right. I think, at that age, children just want to know that you're interested in them. And I think the one thing I would say is depending on the economic circumstances, this is your opportunity to give hope, because so many children, especially in, economic situations where, like, even just Natasha, she had a great upbringing financially, but she had never had a lawyer to model after in her life. And so you can imagine, if you don't have any professionals or you don't have any models of success anywhere you look in your family. So many women tell me all the time, I'm like, why are you working so hard? Well, because that's what my mom did and my aunt did and my grandmother did. And everywhere you look, it's just like the evidence of the work hard is the only way thing to do. And so for kids under 11, we have an opportunity to show them another way, right? And to show them that it is possible. And here are some new thoughts about how you can create life. And my God, if we can teach them to dream, and that childlike thing of make believe and fantasizing is actually the most powerful tool that they have to use for the rest of their life. How about manifesting? Last question. Share about any manifesting thing you want to share about.
Manifesting. Well, I'm about to make my vision board on my birthday because that's my portal day. And so just my tip for vision boards is I go in with a really open mind. Like my mom sees, I don't go online. I don't look anything up. I just go and I cut out a magazine, and it could be like a flower, and I'll be like, this flower represents how my social life is going to bloom. Like I just set my intention behind it, and I just feel like and then I just release, and I kind of even forget why I put the flower on there. And it just comes to me. I feel like that's the most powerful manifesting I've done, where like I know what it represents, I hold the intention, and then I just detach.
And there it is, the wisdom of my child, detach. All right, everyone. Thank you all for being on with us this morning. Mwah. Love you. Thank you so much, Natasha. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of the day and a great week. Bye.